Alright, what is good? What is happening? How's everybody doing today? My name is Chuck, and welcome back to a brand new video. So for this video, what I wanted to go ahead and do is I wanted to create a top 5 classes that you guys are going to be able to use in basically every single situation. You're going to be able to absolutely dominate multiplayer. It's going to be incredible. You guys are going to love these. These are just basically my top 5 classes that I use and that just do not move off of my created class screen. Sometimes I alter some stuff around to really figure out what works best, but this is going to be, my cream of the crop, my top tier that you guys are really gonna enjoy. Hey, but before we get into that, if you guys can do me a favor and smash 5 likes for the top 5 classes on this video, that would be amazing. Also, do not forget to hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on so you do not miss out on any of my future videos, and I can hit 700,000 subscribers hopefully soon. But with that being said, let's actually jump into this. Okay, so for our first gun here today, we have the GRAU 5.56, an absolutely incredible assault rifle. They've tried to nerf this thing here a couple of times so far, but I just find it to be absolutely amazing to use in multiplayer and in Warzone. So I really do happen to enjoy actually running this. So let's actually jump into it here. So we're going to be going into the muzzle. Basically, we're going to disregard everything that is not a suppressor here, aka the flash guard, breacher, muzzle brake, compensator, and we're also going to disregard the lightweight suppressor just because that reduces our damage range, which we definitely do not want to do on the GRAU 5.56 or really any gun in modern warfare. So we're going to actually choose between the tactical suppressor and the monolithic. If you guys happen to have the tactical but not the monolithic, go ahead and throw on the tactical. But if you do happen to have the monolithic, that is going to be our first attachment here of choice on our GRAU 5.56. Next up here, we are going to be going into the barrel category, and this is going to have a variety of things for us to choose from. The ZLR Drifter, the Tempest 26.4 Archangel, the XRK Zen Mark II, the FSS 20.8 Nexus, and of course the FSS 11.8 Squall, which I technically don't have unlocked just because I really haven't bothered to do it, and to be honest, it's really not a barrel that I'd really use, to be honest, really anyways. So we have, a couple options here. Because we're not really trying to make this into an SMG, we're not going to go ahead and use the ZLR Drifter. That's not it. We're also not going to use the XRK Zen Mark II. The two barrels I like to alternate between is the 20.8 Nexus and then the Archangel barrel, 26.4 Archangel. This really kind of just depends on really how I'm feeling, but more often than not, I run the 26.4 Archangel. This just happens to be the best sort of thing to actually run on the GRAU 5.56. I just genuinely love using this. So that's going to be our second attachment here on the GRAU. This is an amazing, amazing barrel for multiplayer and for Warzone. Throw this on there. Now we're down here in here to the underbarrel section, and we honestly don't have to go too crazy with this one. We're not going to use, any of these M203s, the 12 gauge, deputy or anything else like that. This was only good on the FAMAS underbarrel just because it was incredibly broken in Warzone, but they patched it, so there's really no reason to ever use 12 gauge deputy like ever. Also, you can use maybe like the Merc foregrip if you really wanted to. The Cronin Shark is, specific to this gun, but I don't really ever use it just because I don't really think it's that beneficial. There's the Ranger as well, the Operator, basically a whole bunch of these foregrips, and honestly, what we're going to go ahead and do is to choose the Commando foregrip, as this is going to be basically your top foregrip to use on the GRAU. I don't really find any benefit to use anything else. You don't need any more recoil control or to slow your weapon down anymore by adding on more of a vertical type of foregrip like, the Merc, the Ranger, the Operator, so on and so forth. I don't really feel like that's beneficial, so we're going to go ahead and add on the Commando here as our third attachment. Next up here into the ammunition category, this is going to be a little bit personal preference for a lot of people between the 50 and the 60 round magazine, but for me, just throwing an ammunition thing on there is going to be a guarantee in every single class, maybe minus an LMG or something like that, but you guys get what I'm saying. It's going to be a guarantee. We only have 30 rounds in the magazine. We want more than 30 rounds. I always add an extended clip on to every single one of my guns, basically in every single Call of Duty almost ever. I just like more bullets in my magazine. But so we have the 50 round magazine, the 60 round magazine, and to be honest with you guys, I like the 60 round magazine. I've always been a 60 round magazine kind of guy, and I just think it's better than running the 50. I can deal with a little bit of trade-off. Granted, you get a little less mobility, I guess maybe a tad bit less control, but to be honest, I'm running a gun and I'm not like sitting back posting up with this gun, and I'm going to show you guys, we're going to make this very, very mobile here very soon. So this is going to be attachment number 4, 60 round magazine. And lastly, for our GRAU 5.56, we're going to be taking a look at the stock attachment category here. We have the FSS Blackjack, the XRK Strike Light 3, and of course a no stock attachment. These of course give you aiming stability. This gives you aim walking movement speed, and this boosts your movement speed and your aim down sight speed. We don't need aiming stability because this gun's already super stable when you aim, and also we don't need aim walking movement speed. I just don't really find that beneficial at all. What we're going to do is we're going to put on the no stock attachment here for the GRAU, and this is going to make us a lot more mobile. It's going to make us have a lot faster ADS speed. Of course, at the cost, apparently you have a little bit of accuracy, a little bit of range and control, but honestly, you won't really notice any of that stuff. And maybe the control just a tad bit. I mean, for more experienced players or players that have an understanding of how to control recoil, the no stock is going to be a great attachment for you to be a lot more mobile with your GRAU 5.56 class setup. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this on here, as this is our first setup here out of our top 5. So you guys are definitely gonna love this one. Go ahead and try it out. I mean, seriously, it's really, really good. I've been running this for a long time. But with that being said, let's get into our second class setup. For our second class setup here, I wanted to actually throw in an SMG for our second one. So we're gonna be taking a look at the MP7. This is the Reverence sort of bundle, I guess, whatever you want to call it. AKA, we have a lot of different attachments and stuff. And this is a real laser beam in multiplayer and Warzone. So we're gonna go ahead and outfit this here correctly. So let's jump into this. So like I've always said with, you know, basically my past class setup and every other class setup I made prior, that we're disregarding everything that's not a suppressor here, and we're just going to keep it simple. We're just going to go straight for the monolithic, just because, I mean, there's no point for us to be running anything else. I mean, if you don't have the monolithic, obviously run the tactical, but, you know, because if you have the monolithic, throw the mono. I mean, it's just the #1 suppressor attachment in this entire game. Unless the gun has a specific suppressor attachment to it that is like unique to that gun, go ahead and throw this on there. Trust me, like, you'll thank me later. Attachment #1. Now we're jumping into the barrel section. We have the FSS Strike here. We have the FSS Recon, the FSS SWAT. So I'll tell you guys right now, we're not going to be using the FSS SWAT. And also the FSS Strike, this is actually a pretty good barrel because it does boost our damage range, does boost our bullet velocity. But the one thing it doesn't do is it doesn't really help out with the recoil control. And that's where the Recon barrel does come in. It helps our damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control, the trifecta, the 3 we really want out of this game in our barrels. That's, you know, that's what we got right here, the FSS Recon. So this is going to be our second attachment to throw on this gun. It does cost a little bit of movement speed, a little bit of you know, aim down sight speed, but don't worry, this gun's going to be incredible. Trust me, you guys are going to like this. So now jumping into the underbarrel section here, I don't really think the MP7 needs much of an underbarrel attachment, honestly. Almost at all. It's actually pretty controllable to begin with, but we have the options here of the Commando, the Merc, the Tactical, the Ranger, and the Operator. Honestly, you can really get away with basically almost running anything besides, you know, the Operator and the Tactical. I mean, you could run the Commando, you could run the Merc foregrip, you could run the Operator foregrip. I tend to like interchange out the Merc foregrip and the Commando foregrip. It just really depends on how I'm feeling, but I've had great success running the Commando. I've had great success running the Merc, but I think for this build in specific, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to throw on the Commando foregrip just because this is already a laser beam of a gun. We don't need too much recoil control, and it will also boost our hipfire accuracy here in just a little bit. You guys are gonna really like this class setup, like I've been saying. But yeah, this is attachment #3, the Commando foregrip. Now we're gonna jump in here to the laser section for this gun. We have the 1MW laser, 5MW, the TAC laser, and these also, you know, they do a variety of different things. This helps your hipfire accuracy. This is your hipfire plus sprint to fire speed, and this is your aim down sight speed, aim walking steadiness, and aiming stability. Honestly, we don't need your, you know, aiming stability and aim walking steadiness. I mean, this is an SMG and it's already pretty much a laser beam as is. So those are 2 benefits we don't necessarily really need. The 1MW laser, this only boosts our hipfire accuracy, but there is no con to it because no enemies can see your laser. But honestly, if you're rushing around with this gun, you're really not going to have much time to really care if somebody sees your laser. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to throw on the 5MW laser, which boosts your hipfire accuracy and your sprint to fire speed, which is basically what we want out of an SMG. You want to be able to pull that gun up super quick, you know, especially when you get into those close quarters engagements here. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this on here as attachment #4. And last but definitely not least, here on the MP7, we have our ammunition. So this does come with 30 round stock, but we want to bump this up to either 50 or 60 rounds. Once again, like, this is personal preference, and you can roll either or, and I'm sure you'd be fine with either or. But on the MP7, as soon as I unlocked the 60 round, and I immediately switched from the 50 to the 60 round magazine. I mean, like I said, I'm a 60 round magazine kind of guy, and to be honest, the 60 round just kind of is overall like better just for, you know, running, gunning, getting up in people's faces. Having that extra 10 bullets sometimes can really save your life, save your butt, save your bacon, whatever you want to call it. It can really do, you know, a lot of work for you. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this on here. This is my MP7 class setup, absolutely phenomenal. You guys can run this as your secondary in Warzone. You can run this as your primary in multiplayer. This is a really diverse setup that you guys are gonna be able to love and use, and it's gonna be super awesome. But now let's move into class #3. Man, what kind of top 5 class setup would this be? You know, type of video would this be if I didn't have the M4A1 in here? So we're gonna jump into this here, muzzle category, jumping in, not wasting any time on it. like I say in, the past few classes, disregard everything. Use it tactical if you don't have the mono, but if you have the mono, use the mono. So here we go. That's going to be our first attachment. Next, we're jumping into the barrel here. We have a variety of options here. We have the Commando, the Grenadier, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. We have the Tacholite, the Corvus Custom Marksman, and then the Predator. All these barrels have their own unique sort of abilities to them. This is your integral suppressor, but we're not going to ever use this one because this decreases your bullet velocity, and it also blocks the muzzle attachment and the monolithic suppressor we already put on our gun. So basically what people end up debating between is not, the Tacholite or the Commando. Those are kind of like those barrels are kind of buns, to be honest with you. People end up debating between the Corvus Custom Marksman and the stock M16 barrel, or the Grenadier. People love to debate between these two as, being the best for their gun, but honestly, I'm just going to say the stock M16 barrel is going to be the best one to use on the M4A1. I've been using this basically since I initially got it. I've swapped back and forth. I like the Corvus Custom Marksman, but the Grenadier barrel is ultimately the best barrel for the M4A1. This is attachment number 2. Next, we're going to be jumping into the underbarrel section here, and something I want to point out is that, obviously we're not going to use any of this other shenanigans like I've been saying previously. You can definitely use, something like what I would go down here and call like the Ranger foregrip. If I was to make more of a Warzone style setup for this gun, and I wanted to focus a bit more on range and less on mobility here, I would potentially throw in something like the Ranger foregrip, but just because this is for multiplayer, and also you can really use this in Warzone because the gun's a laser beam anyways. I like to actually roll with the Commando foregrip as my number 3 attachment here on this gun, just because, you really don't need anything else. Like I've said previously, the operator, whatever the tactical, they're basically useless in my opinion. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this on here. This is a fantastic attachment. It works on a lot of guns. Yeah, attachment number 3. Now we're gonna be jumping in here to the ammunition category, and as I always say, I love throwing on an extended clip on all my guns. It's basically necessary, but we have a couple interesting attachments here, like the Power 32 round mag. We have the SOCOM 10 round, we have the 60 round, and then of course the 50 round. But why on God's green earth would anybody throw on that SOCOM 10 round magazine on this thing? I'm not trying to make this a semi-automatic sniper. I don't really think this is beneficial in any way, shape, or form. You have the Power 32 round mag, which is basically the same thing, which I don't really find this to be beneficial in any way, shape, or form. This just genuinely is not good at all. Don't ever run this. So this kind of leads into the 50 round and the 60 round, and like I say with some of these ones, this comes down to personal preference and what you actually want out of your class. For me personally, I always go with the 60 round magazine just because, it looks cool, and also, that looks cool. At least this specific variant looks cool, and it has a 60 round magazine, for that variant. But it just works. For me, works personally for me. If you guys are a 50 round kind of guy, hey, or a girl, whatever you want to call it, go for it. But I'm a 60 round kind of guy here, and yeah, this is gonna be attachment number 4 for this gun. So now for our final attachment here on the M4A1, we're actually gonna be jumping into the rear grip section to make this an absolute banger of an M4 class setup. So we have the granulated, we have the rubberized, and we have the stippled. So we don't necessarily need more aiming stability with the granulated. We don't necessarily need more recoil control with the rubberized. What we do need is a bit more mobility. So that's going to leave us with the stippled grip tape, which gives us our ADS speed or sprint to fire speed. Basically 2 things we really want out of this gun. So this is going to be attachment number 5. This is going to be a solid attachment to throw on your gun. Absolute banger of a class setup. You guys are going to love this. Genuinely, you really are gonna love this. If you don't use the M4A1, I don't really know what you're doing, but with that being said, let's move on to our next setup. All right, so now we're in here looking at the MP5. If we didn't have the MP5 in here and the M4, what type of top 5 class would this be? Top 5 class video. So in my previous videos, I would say normally go ahead and throw on the monolithic suppressor here, but honestly, what I've been vibing with here recently, and actually what I think is actually a little bit better, is going in here to the barrel section and throwing on something like the monolithic integral suppressor, because this gives you your sound suppression and your bullet velocity, and it just helps you maintain that low sound signature. It's really good. It does cost you a little bit ADS speed, but so will the monolithic. I think this is overall your better option for your barrel. I've actually been talking to a lot of my buddies, going over some stuff back and forth, and I do believe that the monolithic integral is better than the regular monolithic. So I've been running this in multiplayer and in Warzone, and man, it actually seems to be doing a lot of work for me. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this in on here as attachment number 1 for the MP5. Going going on in here to the underbarrel section, we have a variety of stuff we can choose from, but we're disregarding the tactical and the operator just because those are, you know, those are pretty buns. We have the Ranger foregrip, which I've definitely liked to use. We have the Merc foregrip, which is definitely really awesome. The Commando foregrip, which can definitely work as well. But to be honest with you guys, what's going to be best for you is going to be using the Merc foregrip, and that's just because your recoil control, your hip fire accuracy, and this is ultimately the grip that the pro players use on their MP5s, if I'm not mistaken. And if the pro players are using it, that means there's got to be, you know, this guy has to be the best option for the MP5. So we're going to go ahead and run the Merc foregrip on this gun. It's going to be an incredible attachment setup. Like, trust me, this is going to be great. Attachment number 2, Merc foregrip. Now we're jumping down in here to the magazine category. We have 45 round magazine, and we have the 10mm 30 round magazine, which a lot of people like to throw up for debate as, you know, maybe this is better than the 45 round magazine or the base ammunition of the MP5. But to be honest with you guys, I'm just going to say chalk running this right here. Don't run the 10mm 30 round mag. It's really not going to be that beneficial. You're going to be much better off running the 45 round magazine on your gun than you will be running, you know, the 30 round magazine with the, you know, the I guess the better damage and better range. I mean, it's really not worth it, to be honest with you. It's much more worth it to run the 45 round. I've had great success with this in multiplayer and in Warzone, and all the top players and streamers and creators use the 45 round mag. It's, you know, it's for a reason. So we're gonna throw this on here, attachment number 3. Now we're gonna jump in here to our stock category, and we have a couple of really good options right in here. So we have the Forged Tac, we have the classic straight line stock, the FSS close quarter stock, and the FTAC collapsible. So basically, this helps your aim walking movement speed. This is the aiming stability. This is your aim down sight speed, and this actually helps your movement speed and aim down sight speed, but of course at the cost of some aiming stability and recoil control. And because this gun is more of a closer quarters, you know, killing machine, it's not like the MP7 where you can beam somebody across the map. Well, you definitely can, but maybe if you really want to do that, you shouldn't run the FTAC collapsible. But for this build in specific, we're focused on getting really up close, just taking people out and moving, you know, fast pace, you know, from gunfight to gunfight. That's the whole goal with this setup. So we're actually going to go ahead and throw on the FTAC collapsible here, as this is going to be greatly beneficial to our movement speed and our ADS speed, and you're just going to be absolutely deleting people. It's awesome. Seriously, it's really going to be awesome. Throw this on there, and that's attachment number 4. Next up, for our final thing on this gun, I'm actually going to go ahead and throw on a perk, because I like running around with this so fast in multiplayer that I kind of feel like I almost need something, and that something is actually going to be Sleight of Hand. And I feel like I need Sleight of Hand just for that, you know, that reload quickness, that benefit of just being able to reload super fast, get back in the gunfight. It can really mean the difference between life and death in certain situations. And so, I mean, it's definitely helped me out more often than not, and I love running the Sleight of Hand on my MP5. It's just that gun where I feel like I can run 4 attachments instead of 5 and actually, you know, have a really good setup. So I like running Sleight of Hand. This is going to be my final thing to run on the MP5, and that concludes our number 4 class setup here. We only got one more left, but don't worry, it's going to be a banger. So let's jump into that one. So last but definitely not least is going to be one of the most consistent guns here in all of Modern Warfare, and that happens to be the Kilo 141. So let's go in here real quick, and of course we are going to, you know, skip right over absolutely everything, go straight to the monolithic. If you don't have the mono, throw on the tactical, skip the lightweight, and basically everything else in between. Throw on the monolithic as your number 1 attachment here, and let's move straight over here to our barrel section. So our barrel section, we have 3 different options here for our barrel. We have the 16.6 SOCOM, the 19.8 Prowler, and the Singard Arms Whisperer. So this is your built-in heavy-duty integrated suppressor, basically your monolithic suppressor that is integrated. It can be pretty useful. It just depends on, you know, your play style, what you're really vibing with. For me personally, I like running an actual suppressor on my Kilo. It just kind of really is what it is for me. I really like doing that. So we actually are going to chalk using this one, and we have the 2 options here, the SOCOM and the Prowler. And because we're actually not going to be playing a heck of a lot of Warzone, I mean, if I'm playing Warzone, I'm going to throw it on the 19.8 Prowler just so I can get the max damage range, you know, the max bullet velocity, max recoil control. But if I'm actually playing regular multiplayer, I can find that I can run it with the SOCOM, the 16.6 SOCOM, and still get the damage range, the bullet velocity, and recoil control. You just don't get as much. But the benefit is that you also get less of a mobility decrease, and having more mobility in multiplayer is going to be great. You're just not going to come into very many situations where having the 19.8 Prowler is just going to be a make or break type of thing for you. So go ahead and throw on the 16.6 SOCOM barrel. This is going to be great. It's going to help you out a lot, but it's also not going to weigh you down too much. This is a really solid barrel thrown here for our number 2 attachment. Next up, we're going to the underbarrel section. Like I was saying, we're chalking everything basically in here, minus the operator, not minus the operator, but minus the Ranger, the Commando, and the Merc. And honestly, we're going to chalk the Merc and the Ranger, and we're going to go straight with the Commando foregrip just because this gun doesn't need much. It really doesn't. It's not a really high recoil type of gun. So if you can throw on the commando foregrip to basically anything, give yourself, you know, that added recoil stabilization and aiming stability without really having too much of a detrimental impact to your movement speed, your ADS speed, so on and so forth, I mean, you might as well go ahead and do it. So I'm just gonna say throw the commando here for our number 3 attachment. I'm not gonna waste any time on it. This is great. Next up here, we're gonna be taking a look at the ammunition category, and that's just because, I mean, we have a variety of different things here we can do with our ammunition. So we have the 50-round magazine, the 60-round magazine, and then the 100-round drum mag. And I will say that I used to always run the 100-round drum mag on my kilo, no matter what. Right when this game came out, I was really in love with the 100-round drum mag. I was like, 100 rounds on an AR? Like, that's incredible. But I decided not to go with that here on this build, and I've actually not been rocking with it for quite a long time. I'm a 50 and 60 round magazine kind of guy on this gun right now, and it actually have been for a while, and this does have 30 round stock, so we're actually gonna bump this up from, you know, 30 all the way to 60. We're gonna double it. Like I say, personal preference here on the 50 or the 60, but for me, 60 rounds is what it is, and I like running that. So attachment number 4. And for our final attachment here on this class setup, we are going to be taking a look at our rear grips. So we have the option for the granulated, the rubberized, and the stippled, and honestly, we don't need any of this aiming stability. We don't need this recoil control. What we need is a little bit of ADS speed and sprint to fire speed, so that is where the stippled grip tape is going to come into play, and that is going to be our number 5 attachment on our 5th class for this top 5 class setup build. This is going to be the Kilo 141 build. I mean, it is incredible. You guys are going to love it. I mean, I've had a lot of fun making this video so far, and these are some top tier classes. With that being said, that's all I got for you guys here within today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, slap a like on it, subscribe, those notifications turn on. Make sure you guys comment down in the comment section below, and go check out any of these other videos here up on screen, as I would greatly appreciate that, as I put a lot of time and effort into them. But with that being said, I'll see you guys back here again tomorrow with another brand new video. Just Cap, I'll be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.